afternoon.
Hello, Blake.
Yes.
This is Bob Pekel from New York again.
Oh, yes.
I got those films in from Becky today, and I sent you the covers for them in a little envelope this morning.
Wonderful, okay.
So they are on their way up to you. I even included $1 for return postage.
Was that a Canadian or American dollar?
That's an American dollar. Last I checked, they were running neck and neck.
I'm gaining on this deal.
Yes, you are.
Oh, 10 cents.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, it varies from now and then, and I know they're pretty close. So,
yep.
So you'll probably have those in a few days. And
wonderful.
Like
okay.
I say, they all came in, and I watched Paddle to the Sea and got a real kick out of that. That's a wonderful little movie right there.
Yes, it is. That was the first film that Bill made.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, Paddle to the Sea, and I can remember he had a hard job selling the idea to the National Film Board, and finally he got through to them, and one of the producers, Julian Biggs, I believe it was, accepted that Bill make the film, so they provided the budget for it, and that was Hauling, I believe.
Okay.
Is the author of it.
All right.
And Bill stayed very close. He stayed very close to the book, but it was that was the first film I worked with Bill as his assistant on it, and it took quite a long time to make the film. And it was a very difficult film to make because we had to make that little canoe do all these things.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. You probably have to reshoot some different scenes here and there, hanging up on the shore and going down the snowbanks and everything else like that. And yep.
Yeah, it was. Of course, it was just patience, and Bill had a lot of patience that way. He's a very patient person, and thinking, you mentioned the name now, Paddle to the Sea, and working with Bill all the way through on it, and I've seen it a number of times, so the visuals are very, very clear in my mind.
Yes,
And the events leading up to whatever took place in that are very clear in my mind, too. So it's sort of like it was that I was involved in it just yesterday.
Okay, well.
I guess that is the beauty. That is the beauty of working on a film. As in this case with Bill, it was just Bill and me working on a lot of his films, but especially Paddle to the Sea, that was his first one, and it was over a period of summer and fall and winter and sort of this type of thing, and then seeing the film over a number of times and that, and you are not reliving it, or you're not remembering it, you're reliving it.
Yeah, seeing it again, and I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's the mark of a good film, a good story like that, is when you see it or hear it or listen to it again, it's fresh. It makes a new impression all the time. It's like listening to a good piece of music. If you can hear something different that you didn't hear before, or get something different out of it each time, you know it's good.
Yes, that's quite true. And I think probably just what you said there, that relates to classical music, is very much that way too, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a banjo player. I am a bluegrass musician, and
a five string.
Yes, I am.
Oh my gosh!
I've been playing for almost 25 years. In fact, I don't want to brag too much here, but I'm a personal friend of Earl Scruggs. I go down to visit him in Nashville every couple of times a year. And always go over, and it's always Let's Pick, so that's been a real good time for me.
Can you, Bob, can you hold on for 1 minute?
Yes.
Okay, just one moment.
Yep.
Hello, Bob?
Yes,
Okay, are you there? Just hold on.
Yep. Oh, so you're a picker too?
Yeah, I started a couple of years ago, and I didn't have my finger picks on or anything.
Well,
but anyway, yeah, the five-string banjo. To me, they are the most joyous instrument I think that's ever been made.
Yeah, I agree with you there. They're a lot of fun, and the trick is just practice, you know?
Yeah.
Take a little piece and just play it over and over and over again until you get it stuck in your head, and then go on to the next piece. do the same thing for that, and then add the two of them together. That's the way it works. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I haven't touched this banjo now for over a month because I'm on the studying the guitar, the 16-string guitar, and sort of bluegrass on that. So this is the first time I sort of picked it up in over a month's time, and last night I picked it up for a minute or so. But it's amazing how fast, if you don't stay with the banjo, how fast you can lose it.
Yeah, your hands get lazy, and then it's sluggish. Your mind knows what you want to do, but you know, some people are real gifted like that. Like Earl, he can go for months without playing, and you put a banjo in his hand, and when he picks, it sounds like he's been, you know, playing forever. And I'm the average guy that if I don't practice all the time, I slow down, and so I got to, you know, keep at it in order to be any good.
How does your wife? You got, is it 2 daughters?
1 daughter.
Oh, 1 daughter. How does your wife and your family? Do they like the banjo?
Yes. In fact, I sort of met my wife through bluegrass, and that was a common interest of ours long ago. And she even wanted to try to play the fiddle at one time, so she started taking fiddle lessons, and got started in it, I should say. But then other things came up, and she started losing time to practice and whatever, so she hasn't played for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And she wants to get back into it. She had a house that we've been trying to fix up and get sold, and that's been taking up some time, and so that was there. But you know, we've always gone to Tennessee and festivals and stuff like that together, so she loves the music.
Well, you know the old saying, a family that plays the banjo together stays together.
Yes,
or banjo and fiddle together stays together.
Yeah, I've heard a friend of mine says the family that plays together stays together, and he also says the family that picks together sticks together.
That's a good way.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Well, thank you, Bob. Thank you very much. And so it usually takes from your area now. It'll take about 5-6 days.
Yeah. Yep. So it's on its way.
You have a very good postal system. It's much faster than the Canadian system.
Okay. Well, it'll get there eventually, I'm sure. Hey, let me ask you one other question. You were talking about Paddle to the Sea. How many different locations did you shoot Rise and Fall of the Great Lakes on? Was that a complicated setup? Did you have to travel around for all the different scenes on there, or were they done in?
No, we traveled all over the place for that. Bill was a funny person, and being at the film board is that I remember a filmmaker at the board said, like Bill, if he wanted to shoot a scene of wilderness, he had to go into the wilderness. He'd walk for hours or a day in that, and he'd camp out to get this scene in wilderness. And I remember one of the directors at the film board said, Bill, you know, and especially up in the northern area of Canada, he said, you don't have to take and march off into the wilderness and all that. He said, you know, pull your car over. Look, if there's sort of development on the left-hand side, turn over.
Turn to the right.
To the right, and he said, point your camera and you got your wilderness. And I found out, I've done an awful lot of photography in Arizona. I go down there for 6 months every year. And I found that out, you know, is that pull off the car and aim my camera, and there I have my cactus, I have, you know, the brush and the scrub and the mountains in the background. You figure I was way miles and miles into this wilderness. And Bill said, no, I can't do it. He said, if I am portraying wilderness, I want to experience it. I want to be there.
Yeah.
And then I can honestly say this was shot in the wilderness. You know?
Yep. Where did you do the glacier scene? Was that just in the wintertime, or did you hunt a glacier down for that?
The glacier? No, we went to. Let's see. I think we went to the Banff National Park. And is that the one where? Yeah, that's the one where there's water in the foreground and there's glacier in the background, isn't it?
Well, that's the one where the glacier disappears and you fall a mile back into the river.
We went to Banff at the Banff National Park, and that is the I forget what the name of the glacier is. Is it the Sunmont or something like that? Anyway, that is the main glacier that there used to be anyway. A hotel, big 6-story hotel that was built years ago, and from that hotel you could go over the gravel dunes and that, you know, and there was this glacier, But the trouble is this: I had worked up there for a whole summer at the Banff National Park, and the glacier. That was sort of our when our work was done in the evenings. We used to, because at the hotel, they had a bunch of the youngest girls working there, students and that. So we'd go up and plink on the banjo and sort of make a nuisance of ourselves.
Yeah.
And from that hotel, you could see the glacier, but it started to melt quite rapidly. And this is back 30 years ago. It was starting to melt quite rapidly. I haven't seen it for years now.
Okay.
But anyway, that scene, they were taken at that glacier. Bill used that as sort of a background for the canoe. And then the freezing in and the storm and that was taken right. I lived in a little log cabin on what they call Meech Lake, just outside of Ottawa, about 25 miles. And that was taken in I believe in February on the lake. It was froze up. So we had our neighbor. It was quite windy that day and bitterly cold, and we had our neighbor take and with a big shovel sort of throw snow into the air.
Into the wind, yeah.
Into the wind, and this wind sort of blew it past me and that, And then that's where, you see me, what was it? Suddenly it disappears, and I'm up 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Well, that was taken right out at Meech Lake on the little lake that I lived at that time. And then, but part of it also, we were out at British Columbia at the Columbia ice fields for some reason, and we picked up some shots there too. So it was a combination, but Bill was he was funny that way. It had to sort of be pure, Because if he said he was in the wilderness,
it was there. Yep.
He was in the wilderness, He was very, very, how should I say? He was just in the whole family, like Becky and Paul and that. They are of this same quality of a person, extremely honest. And Bill was very fortunate to have a wonderful wife, and Joyce. She was just a wonderful person, and to a lot of women wouldn't have put up with what Joyce put up, because sometimes Bill would be gone for weeks on end and this type of thing.
They're hard to find. I know what you mean.
Hard to find, but she was never a country person until she met Bill, and she sort of accepted it and became a great outdoor enthusiast as Bill was, It was really a wonderful combination, and he was fortunate to find a woman like that.
Yeah, well, good for him.
Of course, their children have grown up with that outlook on life and that too, Oh, here's one film you should get if you can, and that is on the wolves.
Oh, I got it. That's one of the 4 that I just sent the covers up to you. The Death of a Legend.
Death of a Legend, and that was incredible. Bill had the film board paid for it in his backyard, and his landlord had quite a bit of land, acres of land and that. It's sort of like a wilderness. Well, as you can see in the film, trees and poplar trees and all this.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one yet, but that's on the list here.
That's on the list, okay. And that was made just outside of Bill's house.
Okay.
That he had this fenced-in pen with these wild wolves, and they were born in captivity, but they were brought up wild, except one of them, Charlie, big Charlie. He was a tame. Timber wolf. Oh, beautiful, beautiful animal. These are some incredible stories about. We took them up north, and about 4 or 5 of these other wolves, and some wonderful stories there. When I get the covers of that you send in on. You're not sending one on the wolves, are you?
Yeah, that's up there. That's in the envelope too.
Okay. I'll sit and write you write out some stories how shots were made and sort of.
Oh, great. Yep.
That relate to the film. It was really quite incredible. They're beautiful, and this is why I find with animals, the wolves are an incredibly intelligent animal. And they are so, as one scientist said, he said, if you understand the wolf, and the mannerisms of the wolf, their family life, and that. They're very, very closely. They have their aunts and their uncles, especially their aunts and that. And it's just, he said that is the basis of early man.
Really?
Thousands of years ago, where the way the cavemen and this period of time, 100,000 years ago, that man basically lived, And wolves would, when the two dominant wolves go out hunting, the male and female, then the ants stayed at home and looked after the young ones.
Okay.
And a dominant female wolf would never allow. We saw that in the pen, and that is the dominant female would never allow Charlie to mount up another wolf if that wolf was not dominant. It had to be a dominant wolf. And, that is sort of like in this day and age, or it used to be, say, in our period of time, the last 500 years, the sort of royalty was that way.
Yes.
The royalty of Europe is that they married sort of what they considered the best, the purest stock in Europe.
Yeah, they couldn't go after the commoners.
They couldn't go after the commoners. And this is the amazing thing about the wolf. And it's the dominant wolves that do the hunting. And the other wolves are sort of just there to sort of look after the family home and the little offspring and this type of thing. It's really cool. And Bill had these wolves for, I guess, 4 or 5 years that he was looking after them. And they're incredible stories with these wolves, and they're such a beautiful, beautiful animal, And I wish people had more respect for wildlife that way,
Yes, I know what you mean. And, we sort of encroach on them and try to shove them away, but hey, they were here long before we were. I often think about thinking of like the Ice Age and the glaciers and so on, about all the really interesting animals that are no longer around, especially up in Canada where you're from, the woolly mammoth, the short-faced bear, the saber-toothed tigers and so on. It's too bad that we don't get to see those today in their, real live states, but...
Well, it's funny, I was talking with my brother Don, he's just down from the road from me. We were talking about that and how we have infringed on the animals' world, pushed them back.
Yeah.
And it's a tragedy because they have as much right to this land as what we have,
Yeah.
But the amazing thing, you talked about the saber-toothed tiger. You had that in the States.
I realize. Yeah, we did, and also they say the short-faced bears were all over North America, and the mammoths too.
And the mammoths, you had them down.
Yeah.
And that was only the saber-toothed tiger. That was only 9,000 years ago, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, all very recent.
It was recent in terms of historical time. It was very recent. Yes, the same thing with the mammoths that you had down there.
Yeah.
But anyway, Bob, I'm keeping you on the phone.
Oh, that's all right. It's always a pleasure talking to you. You've made I'm one of your fans, and you've become a nice friend of mine. I don't know how else to put it. So that's.
Well, it's always enjoyable to talk with people, And I think, as you were saying, to talk with people because, how should I say that? With your background, with your education and that, it's taken you out of sort of. And this is nothing against hunters, Hunters are good people, but by gosh, I wish they wouldn't hunt.
Yeah,
They wouldn't kill every damn thing. And what gets me are these hunting programs that they have. Half-hour program about this great white hunter that goes out and stalks this bear. And unbeknown to the audience and that, the camera and the director knows it, but this poor bear has been deked into, has been sort of hoodwinked.
Yeah.
Food has been placed there, and he's probably tied up in the whole darn thing, And this hunter goes out and shoots this bear,
I know, that's sad.
This is sad, yeah. Yeah, this is what I find. Animals have to be controlled, especially now, I guess. But I find this type of. We always relate the killing of animals to the macho male. Have you ever you notice pictures of this beautiful animal, this deer lying there dead and that, and it's always the hunter with his foot on the animal.
Yeah.
And proudly standing there and displaying his great big rifle in that, in a very proud pose. What a bunch of nonsense, you know.
Yeah. No, I've never been a hunter myself. I've been known to pick up not dead, but injured butterflies on the side of the road that have been hit by cars. I'll put them in my pocket, bring them home, feed them nectar, and nurse them back to health and so on.
Oh, Fred, that I've never heard of that before. That is interesting, because as you said, especially butterflies, because they're so delicate.
Yes.
And you can nurture them back.
Yeah, they usually, if they get, if they slam into a car when they're flying across the road or something, they get stunned or whatever, but they will recover if they're not too badly injured. I've done that before, so.
For heaven's sake. And then, how long would it take?
Oh, maybe half an hour or so.
And then they will fly
They'll
off?
fly away, yep.
Oh, for heaven's sake, eh? That's very interesting. They're such a beautiful species, you know.
Have you ever been over to the Butterfly Conservatory in Niagara Falls?
No, I haven't.
At the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, up near the horticulture gardens, they have what they call a butterfly conservatory. It's a large building with a room in there, kind of like a big greenhouse, and it's full of tropical plants, 80-degree temperatures, and they've got exotic butterflies from all over the world, big ones, colorful ones from South America, Australia, Africa, and so on. And you walk in there, and you're just surrounded by these flying butterflies that just, they live there. They live there. They reproduce. They're protected. They're taken care of, and you can go in there and see these exotic butterflies from all over the world. They hatch them there. They have a nursery where they get the caterpillars and the cocoons, and it's just a continual life cycle. Very, very beautiful in there.
Isn't that incredible? Now, there is a good side of the human race, isn't it? You know, to see the human being, we're an incredible species. We can do so much good and we can do so much harm.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's a case of taking and treasuring nature. And so that people can enjoy. That's wonderful. No, I hadn't heard. Bill and me on Paddle to the Sea, we were up at Niagara Falls quite a long period of time.
Yeah, and this is relatively new. I mean, this is something that they probably had only in the past, I'm going to guess, 10 years or so.
Okay. They did have a museum there, and I think it was, they had an Egyptian mummy in there. And I forget which one it was, but he was in his coffin, and they had a lid over it, and that, a glass, sort of glass lid on it. I guess it was airtight and that. But anyway, he was sort of lying there. And I think they've taken him away now.
Well, that's, I don't recall seeing that. It's been a few years since I've been up there, and I used to go up maybe once a year with the family, and one of the things that I got psyched on doing for a while, and I sort of gave it my best shot, is I would go up the Skylon Tower with a really long telephoto lens or a small telescope, and if it was clear, I'd try to take pictures of the CN Tower in Toronto. In other words, from the Skylon, you could see the entire width of Lake Ontario all the way to the North Shore, and if it was clear, you can see the Sky Dome and the CN Tower and everything. And I've taken some pretty good pictures. I mean, the clearest day that I ever was up there, my camera jammed. This was back in the days of film cameras. Now, of course, I've done it digital, but I've got some nice pictures of the CN Tower from up there. And so that was kind of neat for me to do that. I've got one hanging here on my wall. I'm kind of proud of that. And, that's my claim to something that I've done in the photography world. And then I once got this thing in mind where I wanted to, more out of curiosity, I knew a guy who worked in the head offices at the Skylon Tower, and I said, could you take me up to the very roof? I wanted to go up to the roof and stand by that needle on the top of the tower, and just with my back to the needle, go around in a circle and take a 360-degree panoramic shot of the entire area from up there, And so he says, sure. He says, we'll throw the rule book away and we'll take you up there. So you go up to the tower, and then you climb up these stairs through this machinery room and up this little ladder and through a trap door, and you're on the roof. Well, what I didn't know is that that roof, if you want to call it that, is full of microwave antennas and ventilating shafts and everything else. So it's so cluttered up there that you can't really do that. But I can safely say that I've probably been the only tourist in history that's actually been on the roof of the Skylon Tower.
You were fortunate you weren't zapped by some of this radiation.
Yeah, it's low enough wattage that it wasn't that harmful. But it's yeah, I've got pictures of me up there and everything, and it was kind of a nice.
How far is Niagara Falls from say from that scene, the CN Towers?
It's approximately 40 miles as the crow flies, because it's about 15 miles from Niagara Falls to the south shore of Ontario Lake, and then it's about 25 miles across the lake to the north shore. So it's about 40 miles.
When did you where were you when you took the shots of the CN Tower? You were at...
I was on the observation deck of the Skylon Tower in Niagara Falls, which is high enough.
That's something new then. I don't think they had that when we were out there. I think that's something new.
Well, the Skylon was built in the mid-'60s. It was the big tower, the biggest one that's there, and it's 525 feet tall or something like that.
That was just because we were there in the late 50s.
Oh, okay, then it wasn't built yet.
I don't think it was built. No, it wasn't built then. And you could see the CN Tower from all that way.
Yeah, as you're going up the elevator, once you get maybe 3/4 of the way up to the top, you can see the Lake Ontario becomes visible, and then once you get to the top, you can see the entire Toronto skyline from there. But you need to get up to that 400 or 500 foot level in order to see it from there.
And that tower is that high?
It's 525 feet from the ground.
Oh, my gosh. That's the one at Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's new then. Yes, they didn't have that when we were there.
Okay.
Yeah, that is something new. That's very, very interesting, you know. Okay, then, Bob. So I'll wait for your what do you call it?
Yeah, my pictures, my case covers, or whatever you want to call it. You'll know what they are. Yep.
Yes, okay. One more question. What is the weather like there?
Well, it's been beautiful and sunny with clear days, highs in the high 70s, low 80s, and the nights are around 50s. And it's been like that for a few days, and it's supposed to keep that way for the next several. So we've got a high-pressure system here that's doing wonders for us. And by the way, when you come down to Arizona this year, the Farmer's Almanac says that it's going to be really frigid in the Midwest during the winter. I don't know if you can believe that or not, but that's just what they're saying. So bring an extra.
Well, that would be good, because where I am is we're about 30 miles. I'm 30 miles east of Phoenix into the, what do they call that? The desert, I guess.
Yeah.
With all the cactuses and that, you know, that type of thing. And it's one of those it's a low area. Your desert is the low area of Arizona. The amazing thing is Arizona has such an incredible diversity of scenery. You know, from the desert you start going up into the high desert, and then you get up into the Ponderosa land, which is just like British Columbia or your state of Washington. All spruce trees and the whole thing. You know, 7,000 foot elevation.
Yeah. Now you fly your own plane down here, do you? Is that how you travel down?
No, I've never flown. I've flown along the North Shore on the American side. I'm sorry, it'd be the South Shore of Lake Superior all the way along. But to go down there,
that's a long ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially now, it's getting too complicated. You know, when I flew the biplane, we still had freedom of the air, and you could bungle into a situation that you weren't supposed to be in. You bungle out of it and that, and it was accepted.
Now you're in jail if you do something like that.
You're in jail. Yeah, it's not fun flying anymore, really. You know, it's the whole thing, and the whole thing now is you got to have a transponder, and then you need an ELT, emergency locator, and these are very expensive. They're $1,500, and the last one I got, I think I paid around $400 or $500 for it. But every so many years they upgrade it, and then you have to buy the new equipment on the market. Now it's they call it, I think, the 412 or something. It's about $1,500. You know, can't afford it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well,
you know, it's just, and you don't fly for the pleasure anymore. You got to have the instrumentation. You have to have a transponder, which tells the towers at the height that you're in.
Yep.
We have from the ground going up. We have all these different elevations, and you're allowed up to the 5,000 foot level. You're allowed in. Above that, you have to conform and be in touch with the with whatever airport is the closest. it's not worth it.
Yep, I hear you.
The whole sense of freedom and that is gone, you know. And I think I was probably, with my biplane, it's just about one of the last eras. You could still tie in to the 1920s and the 1930s, the old especially the 20s, late 20s, the old biplanes and all this period of time, you know. And that's all gone now.
Yep.
Unless you have the equipment. But I guess the problem is that in the States, I think you still have freedom, although we have it here. But the problem is that you got to report into these designated areas, which means then you have to have radio, and then if you have to have radio, then you need the instrumentation, what do they call? I forget the name of the instrument now, but it ties into the tower at the whatever airport it is, and it will give you. They will ask you your elevation and your location instrument, and you're supposed to report in. And now we take off from a little country airport, and they already have us on TV.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, what the heck.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bob, I'm keeping you. Okay.
All right. Well, you have a good one, and like I say, the package is in the mail. So
wonderful. Okay.
All right.
Right. You take care.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye.